Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy that I have a lot of colleagues who have worked with me during my journey of 35 years present here. A warm welcome to them. And I also see a lot of students here, and I hope some of you would be inspired to take up from where I'm leaving. In fact, I belong to the archives now, and I'm very fortunate that I have been given this opportunity, at least to say what I have done during my 35 years in work. Actually, I will look at a little bit of history of how water and sanitation was there. Sorry, only about water I will be talking. Well, we are all dependent on rainwater in the Maldives for all our daily uses. Fortunately, we have about 2,000 millimeters of rain every year. This gets recharged into the ground, and we use shallow wells to extract that water for our own use. In the islands and in Malé at the beginning, we had public wells, private wells, and mosque wells. Public wells is actually located near the beach periphery so that we can take a shower in the beach, swim, take a shower, and come home. There will be no wells in most of the houses. Then private wells is similar, but it will be inside the compound of your house, and it was only for a few households at the beginning. I'm talking in the 1950s and 60s and 70s. And these public wells got eliminated in the 80s and the 90s. And mosque wells are used exclusively for drinking water, because these are located a little bit away from the households where we have the gifili. The four-gear toilet in session will actually pollute the groundwater very quickly in the household. So being located a little bit away from the gifilis, practically the water in the mosque wells are a little better. At least we don't see the pollutants. The history of water actually began, I would say, in the 1973 with the establishment of Malé Water and Sewerage Company, Malé Water and Maldives Water and Sanitation Authority. Then President Mr. Nasir realized actually most of our children were dying in large numbers. At least 200 children died before they reached the age of 5 years old. So this is the reason why President Nasir gave prominence to a water project in the Maldives. So he established the water and sewerage sector by the name Maldives Water and Sanitation Authority, mostly as the regulator. But unfortunately, the regulator also became the person who started implementing the projects. The initial step Mr. Nasir undertook was actually get the organization onto a firm footing by getting people trained. 5 people were trained under that scheme: 3 civil engineers, 1 mechanical engineer, and 1 accountant. I happen to be one of the civil engineers, and unfortunately, before I joined the company, before the organization, the accountant and the mechanical engineer has already left for greener pastures. Within 1 year of my joining the organization, the civil engineer, he finished his bond period, and he has gone into tourism sector. So I was left with one of my colleagues as my manager, and fortunately or unfortunately, he passed away in 1993. So ever since that, the burden of carrying water and sanitation responsibilities has fallen onto my shoulder. So I have thought I will never say goodbye to this until goodbye takes my hand and say you are irrelevant. So I have been going through that. And the first few projects that we have done was planned in 1974 to 78. The projects were kept pending because there was nobody to get the projects going. After I joined, along with my other colleague, we started making improvements into this. Public rain harvesting tanks have been installed. Private rain harvesting tanks have been introduced in the atolls. And to start with, we started having public tap-bays in Malé. Desalination has come into the Maldives only when we could not cope with rainwater. Desalination was introduced first in 1988 when we had a public rainwater network in Malé. So then we had public tap-bays and kiosks. I will come through some of them now. So the beginning of 1978, we built concrete tanks, fiberglass tanks, ferrocement, mild steel tanks, and HDPE tanks. And this is where I spent my entire life. Building tanks, tanks, and tanks. I have nothing to boast as say I have a lot of experience. I'm not a scientist and I'm not anything but an engineer who has done nothing but building tanks and tanks. So I have one day's experience multiplied by 35 years. I had a little bit of engineering experience between 1985 and 88. We built the water and storage network, built a large-size mild steel tanks, and also concrete tanks in households. Public taps where free water supply was given were also introduced, and water started being sold at the kiosks. This is a picture of what I said is a public well. This picture is taken in 2010 in the island of Kurdufushi. This is one place where the public well still exists. Its enclosed boundary will give some privacy even if he's wearing an underwear alone. Because usually Kurdufushi people, and when we were young, we all go only with an underwear and take a shower in public. It doesn't matter. This is a private well. This is also taken in 2010, but in the island of Utim. But this is a little bit modernized now. They have a pump, so water is taken to where they are through a pump. You see a little bit, a door without an entrance, just a door without a closing mechanism. Okay, that is leading to the understory, the room for the toilet. This is the first tank that was built in the Maldives. It was built in this is the second tank that was built in the Maldives. It lasted between 1909 and 1983. This was located near the present Justice Building. This is a tank near present FDA building. It's called the Hemver Tangi. This was the first tank that was built. It was built in 1906 and demolished in 1984 to give way for the bigger project. And these tanks actually collect rainwater from its own roof. It has a mechanism to flush out the first water and then gets into the tank. And this water is very pure for drinking. And this is one reason why the number of deaths in Malé was minimized compared to the rest of the islands. The total capacity is only about 100 cubic meter in this tank, and it occupies the entire Justice Building to give us only 100 cubic meter of water. So to better use the land, this has been demolished. This is the vessel that I traveled to the outer islands. It's called Fempushi, and I think a very aptly named island, Water Island. So this is the boat that carried all the equipment Of course, this has an engine. It could go 5 knots per hour. I have been on this boat and another boat for nearly 5 years on the seas of Malé. One of my dreams in my early childhood was to become a captain of a ship. That I never was able to. But traveling 5 years on this has fulfilled my dreams of traveling. This is a Sulha 2, a Sulha 1. That's also a part of our journey. And this is the first few visits to the islands. In the center is Mr. Rao, a WHO consultant. And the one wearing glasses and curly hair is Mr. Amankwa from Ghana. He was a UNV then. And the one with a very stern, concentrated look is my boss, Mr. Mohamed Ibrahim. He has passed away. This is the kind of participation we had in the islands. Women, all ages, men, all ages, come and do their part of the job in concreting the tank, in erecting fiberglass tanks, in everything. So we had, I think this is the golden times of Maldives, where when the government wants something to be installed, the community with acceptance, there is no looking back. Whoever it is that comes to the island gets 100% cooperation to get the job done. This is the first few fiberglass tanks that I have installed in the islands. Each of these is 16 cubic meter. I have installed 40 tanks in the islands and 24 in Malé. These are the concrete tanks that has been constructed. We have constructed almost 240 concrete tanks in the islands. These are 5 cubic meters. It was very time-consuming to have concrete tanks in the islands, so we changed over to a new technology, ferrocement. Ferrocement tanks became very popular because it could be constructed in 3 days using chicken mesh, steel, and a bathroom slipper to plaster the cement on either side. So the tank is ready within 3 days, and it's quite cheap, and it can give 10 cubic meters of. I think I have installed more than 2,000 such tanks in the islands. This is how it was in the 1980s. This is a water queue in Malé in the 1980s near Majidia School. This is at the other end of Malé, near the present STO. We had 2 tanks here. We supplied water free of charge for the population, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning, and from 4 o'clock to 5:30 in the evening. After the 1985 to 88 project was completed, we introduced water taps, water tap bays in the mosques. So 30 tap bays were constructed in 30 mosques. So the dependence on the well water has been given up. This is one tank that was installed in Ibrahimi Miski. We did 24 such tanks in the whole of Malé. When I talk of my journey, I cannot forget some very important people behind the project. The one in the middle is my boss, Mr. Abdul Majid Mahir. The one on the left is the contractor who represented the China Water and Electric Company, the subcontractor of the company, Mr. Chen Boying. So after a 3-year-long project, we were at the last minute able to convince Danish government to give us a desalination plant. This is the inauguration of the first desalination plant, August 1988. President Gayoom was there to officiate the opening ceremony. Behind, you are seeing the water tower that supplies the water to all the mosques, tap bays, and we didn't supply water 24/7. We started with 8 o'clock in the morning till 10, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5:30. And with desalinated water being produced on a gradual basis, increasing on a gradual basis, we were able to extend the time, and it took us, say, 1994 before we could keep 24/7 water. But then it became a very difficult situation because water is the most expensive commodity in Maldives, and yet we were giving it free of charge to the people of Malé alone. So the thinking was changed, and I think today very aptly Mr. Mateen has made a statement here. It's not climate change alone that gives the problem. It is resource allocation and proper planning. So from then onwards, we started thinking of planning and resource allocating in the right sense. And people were asked to pay for the service they were getting. So starts a new era in 1995. This is the headquarters of Malé Water and Sewerage Company that was established on 1st April 1995. Well, after 1.5 years of establishment of the company, that was time to celebrate. In Malé, we did not have a road race for nearly 12 years because the roads were damaged to the extent a normal person will have to walk on the road with a limp. Because those of you who have gone through the roads will know what I'm talking about, because it's all potholed all over. So this is the water tour, time to celebrate. It was in October 1993. So 1995. Okay, sorry about it. And I think a water race cannot be held without this famous man. A man for all seasons, a man for all games. But one game he has introduced, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to play it. But I don't mind officiating a match. I think by now you will know what it is. It's the Bashi. So this is the road race. And this is President Gayoom opening the first water tap in a household. That was 12th March 1997. So this is one of the tepes that has been modernized, and I must give credit of this to Mr. Bari, who is sitting here. He renovated the 30 tepes that we had with a different design at each place. And it was in working condition till 2008. It has been now demolished. The older tanks have gone into better technology now. This is the tank inside of the largest reservoir that we have. It is 10,000 cubic meter. This was built in 1991 and integrated into the present Malé Water and Sewerage Company. We have also modernized our water meter reading. It can be now it can be read now using automatic meter reading system. For those buildings where water does not rise up to beyond 5th floor, we have also started introducing booster pumps. And this is the kind of progress that we have made. So it looks like we have overcome all our problems. This is the headquarters that supply the water. We have 11 such plants to produce desalinated water. We are producing 20,000 cubic, we are able to produce 20,000 cubic meters of water per day. But the demand at the moment is 16,000. So this leaves ample space for us to breathe. But unfortunately, this situation has changed in December 2004 when the fire struck our company. Well, I wouldn't say that the way forward is desalinating. We have to think of other options. What we have learned is actually the climate has changed. We have 2,000 millimeters of rain every year, but the number of rain events have become less and more intense. And this water is flooding our islands and making it a nuisance for us. So I think in this we have a lesson to learn. I think we have to collect the rainwater before it becomes a nuisance for us. And for this, actually, MWSC has led in installing the first project in Raad Duafar. The project consists of collecting rainwater harvesting from the public roofs, collecting into sumps and transferring it to our tank, treating it, and then putting it back into desalinated water, mix it, and distribute it to the people. So this is a blow-up picture of the institutions, roofs. It's collected in a sump, treated, and sent into the storage tank. Then public can have the rainwater and desalinated water mixed at their doorstep. This is the treatment process that we have installed. First, it goes to the holding tank. Then feed water is pumped. A pumping system is there. It goes through a filter, microfiltration, then through ultrafiltration and UV disinfection. Then final chlorine disinfection and into the storage tank. Then these are some of the statistics that we have taken from our operation. It started in May 14 and August 15. During this period, the RO plant has produced 2,200 cubic meters of desalinated water, but at the same time, we have harvested 3,500. So in about all, I could say about 70% of the water that is collected is rainwater. This is an island where each and every one has a rainwater tank in their household. So the demand on our network is very little, only 12 cubic meters per day. Taking the costs into consideration, the cost of desalinated water is around about 60 rupees per cubic meter, whereas when we harvest rainwater, it comes out to only 20 rupiah. So there is a lesson to be learned in this. The way forward is integrated water supply. That's not the only lesson that we have learned over the years. When the first project came into Male, that when Denida was asked to help us in our water projects, the first thing they did was paving the road and to help recharge take place into it. Unfortunately, the system that they developed us was not used properly. They had proper filtration systems for the rain that was getting collected underground. The filter gets clogged, and if it's not cleaned, water does not go in. Unfortunately, Maldivians are very poor at maintenance. It was a burden for us to clean the filters, so we threw it off. A new system came in. Having pits under the road surface, acting the same way as Denida has planned it, but it doesn't have a filtration system. So after about 3-4 years, the fine sediment that gets collected into the pit blocks it, and then there is no more recharge taking place. The second, what we have learned is, okay, integrated rain harvesting is a very profitable business also, so we should go in that direction. But my conclusion here is, actually, do we want to give up on the paved road system? I think we should continue with the paved road system, and we should think a little bit further. Road construction should facilitate stormwater collection And that water collected should be treated. Because as I told you earlier, we are getting more intense rain, and it's easier for us to collect and treat. So the number of rain events are less, but more amount of water is coming in a short period of time. Presently, we are collecting it in sumps and pumping into the sea. Why not? We have 3 large playgrounds in Malé, the one in the southwest, Hemberu ground, and the official ground. We can build rainwater tanks and the playground on top of it. There are plenty of world-class football stadiums with storage reservoirs underneath it. Why should we not think about it? I think the way forward is thinking in this direction. We should collect the water. We should pave the roads in such a way that the water is diverted towards collection points for us to collect, treat, and we also should think of changing our habits. We have a lot of data that is being collected, and every 5 years we throw away the data. Because we are supposed to maintain the data only for 5 years. I think data belongs to the people that are not born also. We should keep this data. We should analyze it and plan. I think, as I would again here mention, Mr. Mateen has said it right. We should do a proper planning. And planning cannot be done without this data. And from the few data that I'm living with, I know we can change through better conservation habits, by the reduction of water consumption and recycling of water. This can be done. I urge the young children here to take up this work, scientific thinking into their minds, and help us plan better in the future. Research and development and training human resources is the other area that I would want all of you to take an interest. I'm not an energy expert, but from the few solar panels that we have installed on our establishments, we know a lot of energy can be saved. The installation cost is slightly high, but within about 4 or 5 years, the return on investment starts. Then the rest, it lasts for about 20 years. So for 20 years, we are getting free energy. So this is the reason why we should think of it in that direction. Thank you for listening. Thank you, gentlemen.